Hello, Cindy here. Welcome. Hold on, I'm getting on Instagram. Hi. Hope you guys are doing amazing today. Happy Wednesday. I'm super excited to dive into this subject as, there's a theme this week about releasing the past. So today we're going to talk about why your ex looks better in the rearview mirror. And some things to look at, some things to think about and understand when it comes to releasing past relationships. Also, something to understand, not just understand, but preparing yourself as to what can possibly happen. Oftentimes I see this with women and men too, but mostly women, because women are the people that I typically work with, is that, they'll end a relationship and they might go into this place of feeling, lonely, anxious, and, really bargaining around, why it didn't work, and actually staying in the hurt. So that is a feeling of, maybe obsession. Oftentimes breakups for any individual, especially if you're the breakee, but even the one that initiated the breakup feels this way too. It's often like a withdrawal. There's a lot of research around this, that it's like a withdrawal from a chemical dependency, so a drug dependency or something like that. So that piece in and of itself is challenging. So the things to do is, I'm going to give you 3 steps to support you in letting go of a breakup. And you might be going, well, I'm watching this because I broke up with somebody 6 months ago or a year ago, and I'm still feeling these feelings. And that's typically because there's not been a decision to let go. There might be some really fuzzy gray areas around your boundaries. Maybe you're still connected to that person and there's hope alive, or it's messy. Right? It can be messy in the sense that you're not, you're hooking up with them once in a while, or you're not fully separating yourself and your energy, which really doesn't allow you in your heart to move on. So the number one thing, when your ex typically after a time period does look better in the rear view mirror, unless you broke up for reasons like the timing was really bad for the both of you, or one or the both of you. And, maybe it's typically timing, or, just the place, it's the timing, or the place the person or you were at in your life, and there's something that maybe gets to be learned and looked at from a different perspective. So space is really, really good for that piece. So, understanding that, and, if you're in a spot where you've been broken up for a while and you're still finding it to be really challenging, you're finding it hard to move forward, your brain's telling you can't date because you feel like it's not fair to anybody else to date because you haven't gotten over this person, which is a lie that our brains tell us. It's a true lie that our brains tell us. There's a lot of healing in moving forward and allowing yourself to, not stay punished in a purgatory. Naturally, it's hard to move forward. It's, when you have spent time with somebody that you care about, even love, it's hard to extract oneself. Also, too, that extraction piece can be harder for some people depending on occurrences in childhood. There's trauma, there's wounding points, and oftentimes it can become harder to let go of things that feel familiar because obviously it feels safe, and because of, you know, maybe you're one of those people that finds it really hard to trust people and let your guard down, like fully open up your heart and trust. And once you do, it's, you know, you almost feel like that person gets to stay with you forever. and maybe they can in your heart, and look at the blessings in that. However, the other side to it is, you know, if there's a break up, this is what gets to happen. One, there gets to be space. You get to learn how to honor yourself. I work with women, you know, my name's Cindy Olin, I'm a love and relationship expert, and I work with women all the time around honoring themselves, setting healthy boundaries, and really getting clear about the love that resonates with them, instead of being an approving energy of, you know, pick me, pick me. You know, knowing your value no matter what. So number one in, you know, in experiencing a breakup, and I don't care, you guys, if it's been a week, 2 days, 2 months, or 6 years, and you're still feeling this way, typically it's because you haven't released the obsession from going away. So number one, this is a really important piece. No contact for a while. I generally say, and it kind of depends on the situation, it depends on you, you know, I'd be happy to connect with anyone if they're struggling around a breakup. Please feel free to direct message me or write in the comment section. Also, if you've experienced a breakup and it's been really hard to move forward, please write in the comments, yes, I've been there. And what else I would invite you to do to support other people, what is something that you did that helped you release and move forward? So I'm going to give you 5 steps to do that. Number one is no contact. So no matter what, no matter how sad, how lonely you feel, if he has your favorite sweater at his house, do not contact him. Don't do it. Because there gets to be distance. It's easy for us in certain stages, you know, to get into a place where we are bargaining with ourselves. Oh, I'll call him to get some of my things back, or did I leave that there? And, you know, knowing in your heart of all hearts, you're reaching out to this person because you want to maintain contact, or you want to feel better. And it's natural to want to feel better. Do not contact them no matter what. And I would say that, you know, if you have things that you want to get back, this is going to sound harsh, let it go. Let go of your things. You can get more things. You have things. You're blessed, I'm sure. So no contact would be one. Second, get rid of the reminders of that person in your home. So if you have certain, you know, take down all the pictures with your ex. If you have certain pictures, you know, or things that you see or something that he got you that you look at every day, put it in a box. You know, maybe you think, I don't want to fully get rid of it yet. Put it in a box and put it out in your garage. Put it away from you so you can't see it. That's 2. Get rid of those constant reminders of that person. 3, do some writing. I talked about this yesterday. Writing around, you know, what are the lessons I received from this relationship? What are the blessings I received? And what is it that I really desire moving forward? And this gets into your, the thing that I teach to all of my clients, the Fabulous Five. What are my values? If you don't get grounded in your values, you're going to, when you get out there and date, you're either going to attract from your wounding, attract from your pain, or you're going to attract people that don't want what you want because you're focused in on maybe even being a victim, being in that negative energy. That could be like, they left me, they cheated on me, whatever happened, and that rejection piece. I hear this from women all the time. They'll say something like, all the men that I meet don't really want commitment, or I'm afraid to tell men as I'm out there dating what I really want. Why? Why are you afraid? And maybe I sound, no, but why? Why are you afraid? What's the worst thing that's going to happen? You're not going to see this guy anymore. You think you like him, but it's not going to work out anyways. So you're saving your heart. So, that's the biggest thing. Getting really clear on what it is you want moving forward. And, the other thing too, so writing, self-care is key in this, during this time, and it'll help you develop a habit. So if you got out of, your self-care routine, which could be, going to the gym, getting out hiking, doing yoga, whatever it is that you find in your, that you find beneficial. One of the things that, I've worked with a lot of clients, I've even, experienced this myself. They call it the divorce diet, or the, the breakup diet, where your appetite might change a little bit. You might not be as hungry. So great, take advantage of that. And I don't say that from an unhealthy standpoint, but look at ways where you can actually benefit for yourself on a health factor. So going to the gym, getting in better shape, feeling good about yourself and in your body, because when you feel good about yourself, it's going to exude. There's a happy energy. Smile. Also, get out of yourself. So reach out to other people in your life and ask them about them. Get together with friends, connect, because those, actually helping others, supporting others is really helpful. But if you find yourself in this loop, and this loop of I get hurt, I'm, and I associate relationships with pain, although deep in your heart, you really want it. So look at, and this is really hard to do on your own. I would be happy to support anyone that's struggling with, getting yourself back out there, or you've had some breakups and you're just really fearful. Feel free to direct message me. I would be happy to hop on a complimentary phone call with you. I am very gifted at seeing patterns and supporting women in a plan as to, what's in the gap there, what's been missing, because it can be really hard to do this on your own unless you're committed to your own growth. Okay, so those things. Now, I want you to be prepared for a couple of things that can and oftentimes do happen after a breakup. So after a breakup, there's a cooling down period. Now, this period can be anywhere from a month to maybe 6 months. I've seen it up to a year and a half. But here's the typical time period, 4 to 6 weeks. So if he breaks up with you, And, you know, maybe you're in a place too, I feel called to share this, where you're having some issues in a relationship. It's nearing the end, it's ending, you're trying to fight it, you want the relationship to work, let it go. And I mean that from the sense of, don't try to be the convincer that, you know, that he wants to save the relationship, because if you're doing that, if you're grabbing onto that so hard, it's going to push him away anyway, and inevitably it's not going to work, because, you know, if he's not really showing up for you and you're upset, it's going to continue to push him away. So if he's like, yeah, I don't know if this is going to work, I'm like, you know, I'm really stressed. I totally understand. I get it. This is, you know, it makes me sad, but if that's what you feel is best, then let them go. And, you know, obviously you can have a mature conversation about that. You know, why is it that you feel that way? Why is it that it's coming up for you? Do you mind my sharing what comes up for me? And if that's the case, just let them go. So if that transpires, or it breaks up, maybe through a fight or through, you know, just a series of conversations or disagreements, that it ends, do not reach out to them. Eventually they will actually reach out to you. About 90% of the time. So 90% of the time they will reach out to you, and, you know, they reach out not necessarily always because they want you back. They can reach out for ego purposes, because in their mind they start to think, wow, I haven't heard anything from her. I don't really know what's happening with her. I thought she was so in love with me here, you know, whatever. And so they start to get curious. They miss you too. You know, it's human nature to miss someone after a breakup. Oftentimes we're so focused in on ourselves, or we're focused in on how they affected us, that we don't actually think that no matter what, they miss you too. You know, I'll tell you a quick story. I know someone that actually did end up getting back together with their ex. They got married, they ended up getting divorced, and then a few years went by, and it was an interesting story. It doesn't matter, but she was dating other people, so was he, and she had gotten into a relationship, and then he came back, and so she went into a choice moment. She was in a choice moment before that, but I'm going to try to digress from I don't want to digress from the point of my story. The bottom line is that they got back together, but she had ended another relationship, and it was hard. She really cared about that person, and in fact had fallen in love with them. And, you know, there was healing that was going on there. So, and healing for the other guy. Hey, Sherry, good to see you. So, you know, if you guys have experienced painful breakups, have overcome them and gotten to the other side, put yes, and if you feel called to support other women out there, what was the one thing that helped you to move forward? So I'm going to get back into the case where they do reach out, and this is the number one thing to keep in mind. Just because they reach out to you doesn't mean they want to get back together. It might mean they're thinking about it. But you get to be really grounded within yourself and take the time to look at what really worked for you, what didn't work for you, and if this person is really aligned with you in your life. So those are, the top things to understand and realize. The next part to that is slow down. So if he does reach out to you, it doesn't mean that the seas have departed. You guys are, everything's fixed and you need to rush back in. It tends to be a tendency of, even if the person is, expressing, gosh, I really miss you, I love to talk, we can get ahead of ourselves and go back to the old kind of relationship. Here's what I want to share with you. That old relationship did not work. It didn't work for some reason, and you get to do a gut check around why it didn't work, what wasn't really working. And maybe in your mind you thought, well, it really did work for me, and it wasn't working for them. So then there's a misalignment there, and there's a disconnect. If it wasn't really working for them, why? What did you notice? Were they disconnected? Were they stressed out? Were you stressed out? You're typically not as happy as you think you are. We miss a past relationship. And I believe in every relationship, unless there's abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, things like that, then there's a lesson. And even in those, there's a lesson, there's a blessing through that, and healing can occur. I also recommend getting yourself back out there sooner rather than later, because especially for a woman, men go through this too, but especially, depends on the kind of man. If she stays in that energy of protecting herself for too long and not moving forward, what will transpire is she'll get really comfortable in that space, and she'll feel lonely sometimes, and then get into a space of wanting to move forward or reaching back into the past. And that's not excuse me, going to honor your self-worth. Yeah, Sherry, I like what you shared. Yes, shifting your focus onto you and changing your routine. So if you actually shift that focus onto you and look at, okay, I'm going to remove this stuff. It's going to be hard. And, also look at the fact, give yourself time and be compassionate. It will likely take about 6 weeks to start, may even take 2 to 3 weeks to start to feel better. But, 4 to 6 weeks, you start to get out into a routine. And if you set that boundary with yourself, you start doing some different things in your life. You start laughing, you start connecting with friends, and looking, and also doing things, planning things in your life that you're excited about. Looking at the lessons, looking at the things you absolutely don't want, and date from that standpoint, with the belief that there is someone out there, there's many someones out there that really do want what you want. And we're all on our journey to create that. And creating that space within your heart, and looking at, okay, what are the ways of which I can get back out there? Well, maybe I join a group, maybe I go to a meetup. The spring and summertime's coming, maybe I learn how to surf, maybe I join a sailing club. Think about things where you might see and meet men, probably not a book club, or you want to look at things, that activities. A lot of people join kickball, softball leagues. There are all kinds of things you can do to get yourself out there. Ask your friends to invite you to do things, go to parties, have a party. This is a really good one I haven't shared in a while. Have a spring fling where you invite a bunch of friends and ask everybody to invite a single friend. And you never know, you can meet at least new and interesting people to make connections with. It's, I think the thing is when we're stuck in this space of it's not going to really work, or I can get sucked back in with the next. Well, of course you can. You get to make a decision to move forward. And if that person really wants to get back together with you, give them the space. If that person really wants to get back together with you, you get to really take the time and also know that and I don't want to make this about getting back together, because I really believe that most of the time you get to move forward. There's only when many people do get back together after a breakup, and only about 20% of them actually work for long term. So that's not a very high percentage rate. And the ones that do work are the ones that actually start a totally different relationship, a new relationship. They slow down. They look at, what really works for them, what doesn't. And, I like what you said, Sherry, putting that focus onto you. A lot of times it's so easy to get distracted by the negative energy or the energy of the past. We can, there's an addiction around that. It's like a high that we want to solve his problem. We want to, we think that if we do a certain thing, it'll all become better. But that's really an addiction to the negativity and the drama. And that's part of the reason why, because we can, as human beings, create problems for ourselves. So by understanding, okay, that negativity is a way of distraction. So if I can focus in on myself, this person and I didn't work out, we're not in a place of working out, I get to focus in and accept that, knowing what I desire moving forward, trusting. This is also about trust. And a lot of you guys, I know you've been hurt a lot in the past, and you've got some trust things. A lot of times it's really hard to break down those walls and trust, when in fact, it's really good to open yourself up and be vulnerable. Gosh, I've been hurt. Or, and really getting to know other people. So, the more that you can actually open up about yourself, the more other people can around you. Yep. And you just mentioned that, we will go back to the good times and not think about the pain or the deal breakers that really did occur. And, often, most of the time, I think if a relationship didn't work out, unless you were in a really unhealthy space, they were in a really unhealthy space, but if a relationship didn't work out, it wasn't meant to work out for a reason. And there's really something better for you. And that's something to get excited about. That's something to move through. Oftentimes we want what we want. We're not taking into consideration what they're saying, or we think, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? because this didn't work out, or why did they change their mind from wanting a commitment to not? Well, oftentimes we have that effect because a man in the beginning, if he's charmed and enchanted by you, he will become, the one that's trying to convince you, the one that's really trying to be, to show up, to win your heart over. And if you take over that role, he starts to question, and this is a big one, ladies, he starts to question your value. He starts to question, where he thought in the beginning, she's a high value woman, and now she's not, she's chasing me. She's not really acting like she's high value. She's pretzeling herself to be what I think, they don't even know what it is, but they start thinking in their mind, well, maybe I could get someone else that's better for me. I'm writing this down because I want to support you guys around, why men do this and how to counteract that, even if you've gotten in this place where you're proving yourself to them. We typically have patterns. We typically have things that show up. Maybe you have patterns of men cheating on you, or men being distracted in some way, shape, or form. There's a reason for that. There's a disconnect there. And you might be thinking, oh, it started off so great. Well, it might have started off really great, but is that really, that's not who they're showing up as today. So you get to remember that from the standpoint of, that first 3 months is the unveiling period. You get to know them. They're putting their best foot forward. You're putting your best foot forward. All of that. So, take time, get grounded, and put that oxygen mask on your face, do your healing, and this healing can happen quickly. Remember, also get yourself out there to practice, to get to know people. And you might be thinking, well, if I go out on a date, I really don't have any intentions of getting involved and he wants a relationship. Stop overthinking it. Just go to step 1. Maybe you'll make a new friend, and also be really transparent about where you're at. So, if you're transparent about where you're at, like, look, I'm really in a space where I'm just getting myself back out there, and I want to get to, I like to take things slowly. Most people really respect that. And, especially if you continue to do that over and over again, it builds your value, your self-worth, and supports you from actually moving forward powerfully in a grounded decision. And you will attract love much more quickly. I've supported so many women around these exact steps, and they've brought in love super quick once they made the decision and got clear on their vision, let go of the attachment to the outcome, that it was even better than what they could imagine. So I hope this helps you guys. Please share this with anyone that you feel needs this today. I am sending you guys lots of love. Love to see you on here. Have an amazing day. Bye.